Hi everyone, it's Rui. The island of Kocha is finally flattened, but I actually took the chance to build the new theme, which is modern Japanese farm town. I gathered a ton of inspiration after flattening the island, and it took me a while to actually realize that I named my island Kocha and should at least have, a farm town that's focused on, having a tea farm. So I gathered a lot of inspiration from online and also gathered real life references. A lot of them, as you can see here, is like tea farms in Japan. So I just spent days gathering codes and photos just to have so I can use as reference for the new island. Well, island theme. And so as you can see here from the map, I have done a ton of terraforming and pathing and designs so far because I wanted to record the whole process, but I feel like I didn't want to mess up or anything. So I did a lot of testing on my own, decorating on my own, and you can probably see from here, the entrance, I spent a lot of time here. I wasn't sure if I wanted something that was immediately terraforming or whatever, but then I was like, wait, it's a farm town. We might as well just start with actual rice fields and an actual entrance for resident services. So the theme is basically focusing on having open spaces, straight paths, waterways, and a ton of utility poles, and also having a little train station behind resident services. So a lot of this is just a lot of straight pathing, and then this is what it looks like outside of resident services. So since it's basically going to be a tea farm, modern farm town, a modern Japanese farm town, I was thinking this could be our town hall, and everyone can come here and gather. We can have meetings about, I don't know, water usage in the town or something like that. I was thinking of also making the gazebo, getting rid of the fences back there. I might do that later on, but yeah, this is what their town hall looks like. Some cool pergolas, little tiny buildings, just basically places to chill. This was filmed right after I planted the bamboo trees, so it will look better once, the build comes along. But yeah, this is basically the entrance slash town hall entrance. I don't know. And plus it's cherry blossom season in Animal Crossing right now, so the trees look really, really nice. But yeah, this whole video is basically going to be me trying to figure out building in Animal Crossing, the new theme, because even for the hot springs, I didn't really quite plan that out. A lot of it was testing, so that's why I just had to build the entrance and stuff off camera. Also because of space in my SSD, but in general, testing takes a while, and then redoing a lot of it takes a while as well, so you'll see elements of that throughout the video. So the first thing that I started focusing on April 6th, was basically trying to build out the train station, because from my reference photos, a lot of them, the train stations, you could cross over to the other side of town or something like that. Here I'm tapping my foot a lot because I'm looking at the photos and trying to think of how to replicate things. And then the train stations also had buildings on the side, so this whole build basically was me setting up a huge fake building. I eventually do add a building in here, which is the museum. That'll come up way later after I build out the whole train station, figure out the building situation. And I wanted to use as much storefronts as possible because I had so many in storage. And these custom codes will also be in the description box below. I gathered a lot of them, so I might just put all of them in either a Google Doc or something where you guys can access, or just in the description in general. Maybe I can link my card or something like that to have all the codes. I'm just not sure yet. So here I finally it came into my head that I should put the museum here, because how else am I going to put the museum anywhere else on the island? because, you know, I consider resident services to be the town hall. So the museum might as well just be like the train station, like where you get tickets. And also, like in the last video, I ran into issues, well, not issues, but some annoying little instances where the villagers would kind of block where I'm doing my terraforming or my pathing. Raymond just decided to be a little menace today and do that, although he was only there for like a couple minutes, not too much, but I don't know, I was like, really, Raymond? Like, you're the one that has to be doing all these things to me? Why can't you just explore the rest of the island? But yeah, I also used a ton of simple panels and customizations. I started using the Japanese window custom design way more because this is like the second level, and I was thinking maybe if we had like, you know, these fake buildings with these windows, it would look better. And obviously I went through the phases of having to turn the storefronts around and everything, adding an extra layer or like an extra row for the cliff terraforming. And again, testing takes a lot of time. I feel like when I watch other people do their builds, they're like so flawless or something like that, and I'm like, how? But then I think, you know, they probably did do a lot of testing, so yeah. And so here, I'm a sucker for like symmetry. I love symmetry. So here I'm just trying to make sure that both sides of the museum, like that flank both sides, looks pretty okay. I think I might incorporate that a lot in the builds, but mostly for buildings. And yeah, I think this is also inspired by a YouTube video I saw like many months ago. I'm going to try and find that and link that in the description so you all know where my inspiration comes from, and to credit like who I got it from, because even now recording, I'm still thinking like, who the heck did, like, whose channel did I watch and like whose video did I watch, because I know it was a Japanese Animal Crossing New Horizons content creator. I'm just like stuck on who it is, but eventually I will find it. If it's in the description, it means I found it. So credit to that person. And yeah, I saw their build and I was like, that's like actually pretty cool. But for me, I'm just doing a, you know, making the museum the ticketing place. Now that I think about it, like this is recorded about a day after I did this. So I might just make like a little custom sign saying tickets, or maybe I can find something, you know, from the search or just online in general. I feel like Googling just codes online has been like really useful, unlike years ago when we had to like actually look up the user or find them on Pinterest and all that jazz. But yeah, like my whole journey in finding the codes, it was kind of difficult, but at the same time, since I had like a lot of them favorited in my design portal, it was actually pretty easy. But the new ones that I needed, I was like, okay, I really got to type this. So I put them all in like my Notion so I can keep track of them. Some of them, they're not really labeled, but yeah. So here I'm thinking of doing like a little path so it goes like straight up to the homes of the island, because a majority of the island is going to be tea farm or just generally like farm rice fields and stuff. So I want all the residents to be nearby each other. So you'll see later in the video I put a ton of like the resident plots outlined on the left side of the island over the river. And yeah, so I want all of them to be nearby instead of like far away or put apart or something. I think it'd be easier on me, and then space wise it would give me a ton of space to actually make like big tea farm on the island, and maybe even like a tea shop. Oh my god, I keep forgetting, I really have to write that down, that I have to do a tea shop. But in the upcoming episodes, maybe I'll have an episode where I build out the tea shop. Maybe I'll just have like one resident home be like the tea maker factory shop or something like that, like the main place. And So here I'm putting down a bunch of trees, bushes, and weeds, and I'll eventually put in flowers. But the reason why I put it there is because from one of the references, there's trees that line the train tracks. And so since I wanted a building over here, I put trees in the back. So it'd be kind of like back door for the buildings, and also just in general, just hiding some things. And so I can also use a ton of stuff from my storage and free up a lot more space, because I know I'm probably going to buy a lot more stuff, because a lot of the stuff in my inventory, believe it or not, is actually not that useful sometimes. So yeah. But Raymond, yeah, he just decided that like yesterday to basically spend all his time with me while I created. And not that I mind, but it was sometimes annoying because he would just sit down when I needed to put down some path. And I don't know, for me, when I'm building, I want to be like as alone as possible so I can like think of things, not have anything distract me. But yeah. So like I wanted to have a kind of way to plan out the island like without putting the buildings, but that was like my initial strategy, like put down all the pathing, all the outlines of the buildings, and then you'll know where to put things. But sometimes like I needed them there for visual purposes. So again, like you'll see me get the funding and move the museum from the beach, although it was a good choice. And Raymond is fishing. This is what I'm talking about. He was fishing here the whole time and he wouldn't even move, and I just got so annoyed. But see, he's sitting. It's unfair. But yeah, I basically moved the museum so I could know how to cover it up. So moving the museum was okay because then I could move the shop. So it's kind of like a win-win. And here I'm talking to Tom Nook and getting the museum moved. And this was also one of the moments where I was like, did I actually purposefully put down the dirt path to actually align with how far I wanted the museum to be? Because sometimes I feel like building an Animal Crossing, you sometimes become like magical, and the fact that some people may play for like even a month and they're like, oh, I know how the spacing is. And I don't know how to explain it, but for me, I was like, how did I know to stop my dirt path there earlier and then basically have it aligned with everything that I've put here? It was kind of crazy, and I don't know, I was having like that kind of moment while building. I was like, am I magic? Like, am I magic in Animal Crossing? I don't know. It's just weird thoughts. And over here, I didn't really know what to do. I wanted to put like a little parking lot again, but then again, this island, I don't know if I want to have all parking lots here, but I might put in another parking lot. Just spoiler alert, there's gonna be a ton of parking lots, maybe, which is fine because that's a town. Like, you have buildings, those buildings need places to park. You might not want to park on the street, so yeah, I don't know. But that space over there eventually turns into something else. And again, I used a ton of utility poles, and I'm like taking out furniture pieces that I usually don't use, although I do use the drink machines a lot, so those will also be throughout the whole like island. Drink machines, vending machines everywhere. just not as much as it was in the hot springs theme. I'll try not to use it too much, but it is a modern Japanese farm town, so we're bound to have some, amenities that are modern, like tractors, cars, drinking, like vending machines, basically. And so yeah, I time traveled to the next day, and so the museum is here. And because of that, as I said before, I have to visualize what it is. I have to have the building here, so I'm basically changing up the rest of the terraforming, or like how the storefronts are placed on each side. So it takes a little while, and the terraforming and the spacing of things is hard because when my pockets are full, I can't move things as much as I want to, so it takes a little while. So that's kind of why I did testing of my entrance and little walkway that you guys will see later, like off camera, because it takes a ton of testing. So even this I had to record in like 15-minute sessions just to make sure that I wasn't doing too much. But I mean, this is just the beauty of Animal Crossing. You just have to think of ways to put objects together to make it look like what you want it to look like, and I think it gives a lot of freedom creatively for one to actually do that. Like, the creation of the storefronts for the 2.0 update was just genius, because we all used to make buildings by ourselves with stalls, with like the bunk beds, with the climbing walls and everything, and now we have storefronts and we can incorporate that with the 1.0 furniture, which I think is like pretty great. Also, this is recorded way before my upload of my previous video about the flattening of the island. I'm trying to like talk more in the builds, but there might be some like moments where I don't talk, and if that's jarring, let me know. Like, I don't think I like talked for this long for a video before, so yeah, I sometimes don't know what to talk about because I run out of topics, or my brain runs out of steam, or I forget to breathe when I talk because there's so much to talk about. But if you guys want me to talk about like random topics aside from the actual build, let me know. I feel like sometimes I'll pepper in some topics, like last video I talked about TV shows. Maybe now I can like talk about how my internet is so slow. I feel like I mentioned that before, but my internet is so slow, and I don't know why, because we pay for high internet speed, and it might be because I don't know, the height of our building is so high that we're not near the router, even with extenders. I don't know. And I think I was uploading the last video for so long, like I was at 2% for 3 hours, and I was like, this can't be. So I did like an internet speed test, and it was like, your internet is very slow, and I was like, oh great. So the reason why I haven't been doing streams is because I don't want my internet to basically fail on me while I'm streaming, because a lot of the footage from my streams is going to be used in my VODs. Here I actually just recorded myself, so the quality is a little bit better because I'm using my Elgato. But for my streams I use my Elgato, but I think sometimes the output is 720, although I think part 4 is supposed to be in 1080p. But I rely on my VODs, so I can just basically use that and make videos out of it, and it also isn't as much memory. So I don't know, I think just in general a lot of these episodes may just be recorded, and I might take a little while, so I might not have a lot of streams later on, I'm not sure, but hopefully my internet situation is resolved soon so I can have streams and talk to you all like way more, instead of this one-sided conversation where you're just listening to me talk. And here I don't even know what I'm trying to do. I think I talk about putting more like parking lots on the island because, you know, farm town might as well, but I eventually turned it into like some pretty complicated-ish water terraforming, although I do run out of bushes, so yeah, definitely playing this theme in hard mode. I don't know why, but I think I'm just gonna do it. I think it helps to slow down and not really rush in decorating, even though I definitely rushed in decorating this. I recorded about like maybe 4 hours of footage, and it's all like condensed down into this half hour. Some of it's like cut out, some of it I kept, because a lot of it was cliff terraforming. Like here I'm laying out the canal because my reference had a little canal, like river, although the reference had like kind of dried up river, maybe because the tide, it was like low tide instead of high tide. I don't know. Any of my nautical enthusiasts, let me know. But yeah, like here I'm putting in like the paper lanterns and making the canal seem a little bit more interesting, like having some decorations, because at the mouth of the river I have some ducks, although I might put them over to like the left side where it looks like a little bit of like a lake. But yeah, I did cut some of it, like maybe 15 minutes, where I'm just basically making the cliffs, and I feel like that footage sometimes can get a little boring. And here I'm like covering it up because I don't want the stairs to be there, since there's already like stairs at the edge of the island, like pretty close. So I remove it and put a truck here because, again, farm might as well have a lot of trucks to transport all of the produce that we create on the island. And so I also removed the intended bridge that I wanted here to the other side where the paper lanterns are, instead of on this side. So I basically extend the whole like the bike path here. That was inspired by Coco Cat's video, and I did take screenshots of that. I like took inspiration and copied a lot of what they did, but I just cut down the second row, or like the second road, instead of having something be extended. And you can just like take a seat, and when you do the angled camera angle, you can like see the rice fields and the produce fields, etc. over there. This part actually with the new bridge, it kind of stumped me because I was like, how do I make this so everything aligns? Because again, the theme is like straight pathways, nothing really super curved for this farm town. Like I want it to be carefully planned instead. So it's like the rice fields and stuff, they are technically carefully planned. They can be squares, rectangles, whatever, but they're still like in a straight line. So my thinking is like maybe everything else on the island theme is like the planned out rice fields or like the produce fields, little tomato patches that we have. Everything is laid out, and again, I'm a fan of symmetry, but I'm also a fan of like things aligning perfectly. So you'll see a lot of that throughout the episodes of me trying to plan out what things look like. And again, there's going to be like a lot of trial and error. I feel like that's the pressure that I should take off myself, because Animal Crossing is all about testing builds, testing layouts, and all that stuff, and also fishing and having fun, etc. But for me, I'm always in a rush, so I think for this build, like this theme, it will not, I won't rush through it. Like even my Hot Springs theme took me like about a year to really settle on, or maybe like almost a year to really settle on how I wanted to build things, and even then I mixed up a lot of stuff until I finally got what I wanted. And this farm theme, I don't know, I wanted my Hot Springs Island to be my forever island, but maybe this will be my forever island, because I've always been a fan of the farm town kind of theme, aesthetic, or whatever you call it. And I think that this would be a really great like forever theme to have, especially since it gives me the opportunity to fish, to catch bugs, and maybe I'll like be able to traverse the island better. But in general, yeah, I think I just ended up having like a fairly okay alignment of the structures and everything that I planned out for. But who knows, maybe I'll like change my mind and think of something else. But for this waterfall, I wanted to also incorporate some complicated waterfalls. Not everything will be like structured or whatever. So I will try to incorporate more waterfalls and everything, but I think it will be less than what I did before, especially since like with the tea farm and the inspiration I'm going to basically copy and then try and find a way to make it my own, like by adding some of my own furniture and things that I like. I think that will be less incorporation of like complicated water terraforming or cliff terraforming. So yeah, and then I basically ran out of bushes again, so everything is just covered in transparent custom code basically, which is not even custom, it's just transparent. So yeah, but this pathway that I'm doing, it's going to be the rest of the villagers' homes. I will be putting at least, I think, 4 villager homes, 2 on each side, so that will be less complicated, and then the remaining 2 could probably just be for, as I mentioned before, like one of them could be for the tea cafe or something, and then the other could be like in charge of the watching over the tea farm or something. Like, since we have 10 villagers, I might as well just go with that. I don't know, I'm just spitballing here. I'm just like thinking of ideas while I talk through this whole voiceover, since I don't know what to talk about, and this is not scripted, so I just don't know what else to talk about. And again, see, like this is all about testing, where I basically had to move the bridge once again, but honestly, it's fun. No, I'm coping. It's not fun, because cliff terraforming is just my absolute nightmare, especially if I did it for like hours on end for the past week, and doing it again here, it's not fun, but I'm trying to get through it. Yeah, it's yeah. So I just try to make everything aligned, but since we have 10 villagers, I might as well just have 8 be like a neighborhood or like their own kind of part of the town that it represents like the real life references that I have. So the 2 other ones would just be like huts or something like that to watch over the farms that I have, or like be a little like cafe that I have. So yeah, I think the next episode will just be me making the tea farm. I just have to gather a bunch of bushes, so I've been doing that for the past few days. And then also I want to incorporate more wheat fields, so I have to buy those at least every day to gather them. Again, trying to play this on like slow-ish mode, hard mode, or whatever you call it, and just really taking my time with this because eventually it's going to be my forever island. And here is the final result. I'm actually pretty proud of this fake building, even though it's pretty simple in my opinion. Like there's no like customization, like overly customized. I really do like the train station. I will add a little bit more eventually, but I feel like my brain can only do so much, and I can only do so much in a day. But I'm really proud of this. I like the entrance that we have here to the town hall, basically our community center. But yeah, so this was episode 1. I'm trying to do more of these like chatty voiceovers for the builds, but if you guys think it's not as good to be as chatty and just blab, let me know. But either way, this is unscripted Rui, and I'm just talking. But if you've watched until the end, listen to the end, you're the best. I really appreciate it, and thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!